How you doing, guys and gals? This is Doug Wilson from Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors. I'm up in my room right now. It's fairly cool. I call this my mountain. This is my mountain. This is where I, come to think, read, sleep, pray, all kinds of stuff. If I'm not outside or I'm not working, then I'm in here. In this room right here. Everything I need is pretty much in this room as far as well-being. So basically what I'm doing is I'm practicing my bow drill skills. And I'm doing it with the Delta Whiskey Backcountry. Chris Tanner just did a review of this knife. So on this video, I want to show you what else this knife is good for. I'm going to try to put out some other video snippets of, just what this knife can do. Why it's designed the way it is. I tell you, with designing and building sheaths, I just don't have the time to do a whole lot else. So, but the channel is important to me, so I like to put on good content, stuff that you either don't hear that often or don't hear at all. So anyway, you probably have never seen someone use this knife to, make a coal from a bow drill. Now that's all I'm going to do today. I've already burned in my hearthboard. I've already cut my notch. Here's a couple of more that I've used over, the last, 6 months. Here's another one. Yeah, I have all kinds of sets. And the reason why I keep these sets is because these are proven sets. You may not be aware of this, but not every bow drill set works. There are so many variables to this particular skill that I can't even start naming them all. It begins with how dry the wood is, the type of wood, how long it's been there, whether it's dead standing, how much moisture it has in it. There are so many variables that this is one of those skills that you just have to practice, and I practice it a lot because this is one of those skills that you can do with minimal tools and minimal materials, like stuff that you bring with you. All of this stuff can be found out in the bush. All of this, including cordage. Now it's difficult, but it can be done. You spend enough time making cordage, natural cordage, it can be done to actuate a bow drill and get a coal. Honestly, I would just use my shoe or my boot string. That's what I would use. I always have good strong laces in my boots. You use it for the bow drill, then you put them back in your boots. That's how it works. Okay. So anyway, this is poplar. This actual hearthboard is poplar. I know it works. I've gotten several coals from it already. This one's only about halfway burned through. I think I got another burn on this actual end here. Okay, I'm using this spindle. This is a piece of pine. So there just goes to show you that you can use a different wood for the spindle than you use for the hearthboard. You can. I also use white pine for the whole thing. Tulip poplar for the whole thing. Cedar, cottonwood. They're the four that work the best for me. There are other woods, but those are the four that work the best for me. As long as you can get it, like I said, at the right stage of decomposition, dead standing. I mean, this is you got to look at it and know what you're looking at type deal. So that's why it's so crucial to practice this skill. I tell you, I come across people nearly every week who say to me, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Then when they actually go to do it, they don't know the first thing about it. So many people have told me that. So anyway, I want to show you guys what else the Delta Whiskey Backcountry can do. We're going to use the pyro plug. However, you don't have to use the pyro plug. You can use one of these plugs too. One of the compression pins. I've done it. It works. To date, I've probably made, I don't know, 20 fires from a bow drill using this knife. I have never once had a problem with this pyro plug and the fact that it goes all the way through. It does get a little hot on the other side. Wear gloves. I'm not going to wear gloves. I'm used to it. It's not that I can take a burn better than anybody else can. It's just that I know where to put my hands on the handle when I'm bearing down. All right. So here's the knife, CPM 3V. I mean, it's a huge chunk of it. It's not a heavy knife. It's got a nice choke-up choil. Smaller tasks are rather easy with this knife, because what it does is the choke-up choil takes, you know, a 5-inch, 6-inch blade and cuts it down to a 4-inch blade. Right there. So you can, you know, what I do is I put the forward finger guard here between these two fingers. Sometimes I'll put my thumb on the top. Sometimes I'll just wrap it around. It depends on what I'm doing. For smaller tasks, like I mean, I just did this V right here for the notch. I just did it like 10 minutes ago with the Delta Whiskey. So it can be done. You know, that's what I designed it for, to be able to do smaller tasks. But this is one of those knives that you're going to have to practice with. It does a lot of neat shit, but you got to practice with it. So if you're interested in a knife like this, get a hold of Mike Wallace at Wallace Edge Tools and get yourself one. I promise you will not be disappointed in the utility of this blade. Okay, so anyway, let's see if we can get a coal here. I'm just using a piece of cardboard to catch it. See if we can do it. I've done it before in here several times. Now, here, I'm going to let you see what's going on here. Where you put your foot makes a difference. I just do what's comfortable for me. That's what I do. And I make sure that I can lean into it and get pressure on this spindle. Okay, so basically it's like this. You know, I can get pressure on the spindle pretty hard. You know, hard pressure. So you got to be able to lean into it a little bit. So if you're way back here, you know, it's not going to work. So you got to be able to put pressure on it. Alright, so let me move this back a little. You guys can see my stinky feet. Let's see if I can't. Alright, now this is a strenuous thing. Very strenuous. Put it in there. And what I do is I hold just the edge of it right here, so that it's not going to burn my hands when it Alright, here we go. There's the smoke. Then you really lay into it when it starts smoking. And you go until you can't stop. You know, until you can't do it anymore. Alright, that should do it. That should be a coal. Alright, there it is. See it smoking? Alright, That's a coal that will burn for 10 minutes. As long as it's got enough dust as fuel, it's going to burn. No, it is not always this easy, but I practice this skill all the time, so I'm pretty good at it. I'm going to go put this out. I'll be right back. How you doing, guys? Okay, so if I was feeling really adventurous, I would take this tinder bundle, which is basically tulip poplar bark, all processed down to make a bird nest. And then I would put the coal right in there and blow it into flames. You've seen that thing 1,000 times, I'm sure. That part's not hard. As long as you have decent tinder to blow into flame, you're good to go. The bow is just a branch that already had a natural bow curve to it. Sometimes what I'll do is, like this here, this is Osage. I bent it while it was still green, and then tied my bowstring around it to keep it in that position, and it dried that way, which this is a perfect bow right here. This one right here. I like to use this one the most. I just like this one because it's rustic looking, and this is what you would find out in the bush somewhere. This type of, you know, branch. I think this is a piece of cherry. So it doesn't matter what the bow's made out of. This is my hardwood bearing block. But like I said, I use the Delta Whiskey Backcountry. If I have it with me, it works very well as a bearing block because that copper offers almost no friction. There's a little bit, it has to. It's going up in there, you know. But you can see the tip of the tip of the spindle. I mean, you know, somebody mentioned that it was going to ride up in there and get caught. It doesn't do that. These pyro plugs have been tested. You know, you're not dealing with knuckleheads that are designing knives here. You're dealing with Mike Wallace. He's been designing knives since he was 9 years old. He knows what he's doing. So the pyro plug works, and it works well. In my opinion, it works better than just putting a divot in micarta like some people do. This actually holds the spindle in there and keeps it from popping out. That's what that does. That's the main purpose of that, is to keep it in there. Because I don't know how many times I've used bearing blocks, and you know, they're a little shallow, and as you're actuating your bow, the thing pops out of there. So, you know, I don't know how many times that's happened to me. This nearly prevents that. And like I said, it doesn't get caught in there. It works. It just works. Delta Whiskey Backcountry. There it is. Here's the sheath I made for it. This thing has everything on it that I like on a sheath. Surefire, which is basically live fire. Just strike a ferro rod into it, fluff it up a little bit, strike a ferro rod into it, and you're good to go. This stuff burns even if you throw it in the water. I mean, of course you can't submerge it, but it'll lay on top of the water burning. Alright, there's that. Tech lock for pack carry, you know, putting it on a pack. I don't wear it on my belt, it's too heavy. I wear this sheath here because it's a fairly large knife. I wear the Delta Whiskey Backcountry baldric style with a sling. I actually had to give my sling to a client. it happens all the time to me. I have to get a new one. So Chris Tanner mentioned that this is some Kydex he's never seen before. Probably it is. It's unique. It has a Cordura coating on top, and it's garbage. That's why I don't offer it to people. The Cordura coated Kydex, I think, is a novelty. It's not going to catch on too well because it's hard to work with. I made this one. This is the only one I'm ever going to make unless somebody forces me to use it. And you know, this is the real Cry Precision Scorpion multicam pattern that SF wears now. But I don't care if it's the real pattern or not. This stuff is a pain in the ass to work with. I'm not working with it. I mean, I wouldn't even use the ferro rod for it. I use that Super Cam stuff. Easy Lap diamond hone. Easy Laps are good diamond hones. They're really good, but they're very difficult to work with. That's why I offer other diamond hones. And a ferro rod, little compass. Compasses do work. All right, guys, that's it. Just wanted to show you how we get a coal with the Delta Whiskey Backcountry. So this is Doug Wilson, Yellowhawk Customs Outdoors. See you on the next one. Thanks.